So if this is your first time to the channel, please hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you tap that bell up there for notifications so you can stay on track on updates on anything that comes up for Spokane North Idaho market. My name is Kirk Holding, and I'm with my partner Greg and the team here today. We've got Scott, our guest here, and he's going to help us going over some of the things you should consider before moving to Spokane and North Idaho. We get calls and emails to our team every day, just like you. We love helping them make that smooth move to Spokane or North Idaho. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even better yet, hit that Zoom link button there and we can set up a face-to-face. We love putting a name with a face so we can kind of dial in, what you're looking for. Okay, first on our list, probably the one we get the most questions about, concerns, is the weather. Here in Spokane, North Idaho, we do get all 4 seasons. We get them pretty hard, which is one of the things I like. It's constantly changing, and a lot of people come up here for the outdoors. So first season, we're in winter right now, and it's not uncommon to get super cold. We've had a couple weeks that were well below zero here, and we've had lots of snow. Some winters kind of hit and miss, not as much snow, just kind of depends, but
kind of comes in waves too. Like we had a couple weeks where there was no snow, thought it was over, and then all of a sudden we get 7 more inches. So you never quite know when it's going to be done.
Yeah, the big thing that's a struggle, especially people coming from warmer areas like California where the weather's perfect, is the snowy roads and ice. We get big storms, plows aren't going to get out there as quick in some areas, and so it's critical to budget for a 4-wheel drive vehicle or an all-wheel drive vehicle to help navigate those roads and the ice. You definitely got to have it here in this area. You've lived in some of those neighborhoods, Scott, where they don't get to the plowing as quick.
Yeah, so you're definitely going to need to. The home I grew up in, you couldn't get out of the cul-de-sac without having 4-wheel drive. I've had friends that moved up here from Arizona, and they had to get a tow because they were driving, especially on the South Hill neighborhood. It's really narrow streets, and like the name says, it's all on a hill. So they would just be slipping and sliding, and in the neighborhood and also on the north side, people tend to park on the streets. So if you're on 4-wheel drive, you might be slipping and sliding to somebody else's car. So.
Yeah, the other thing to consider too, we got a lot of older homes in Spokane, early 1900 homes, and our team can help you navigate that during inspection to some of the things you might look for that can help when those freezing temps come that need to happen maybe before moving in. We're going to go ahead and move on now, and we're going to hit the bugs. And these aren't in any particular ranking or order, some of the cons that we're going to go over today, but the bugs, we do get them. We've got probably 40-50 lakes, within an hour and a half of Spokane, North Idaho, and so with water, we do get some bugs. One of the kind of more annoying ones is the stink bug, and that one is this kind of beetle. It's got wings on it looking thing, but when you step on it, it emits a pretty nasty smell, and they just kind of hang out on the siding and under the eaves of your roof, and kind of annoying. It's I'd say for 2 or 3 weeks, and then they go away, but not too bad. And then in the fall we get the ash aphids, which are there for maybe a few weeks in the fall, more annoying than anything.
They just kind of congregate in clouds. So if you're going out to a park, walking your dog, whatever, you're guaranteed to walk through some of them. And like I said, you might swallow 1 or 2 or get on your clothes, but not really that annoying. They just kind of congregate.
Yeah, I like to fly fish, so I like the bugs when they come out. It means fish are rising, and just another activity to enjoy out in the Northwest. So. A few mosquitoes here and there at the lakes. Some years are worse than others, but do get a little bit of that. Trying to think, really, that's about it for bugs. I
think there's more, wildlife than wildlife nuisances. I mean, there are carpenter ants, so that is a thing. Kind of like termites, carpenter ants can ruin your siding, or some of your eaves or whatever else.
Yeah, and again, our team in the inspection period, our inspectors are really good at looking for those items, such as carpenter ants. Once in a while we'll get get the termites, but more rare than common that we see those.
Yeah. And we have good connections to help you if there is a problem with the house, to help you get that mitigated. So.
Yeah, and one last thing on the bugs is bees and wasps. If you're allergic to wasps or bees, you really need to be careful. We do get those as well.
Make sure you're checking your corners, your storage sheds and stuff. They love to make nests anywhere and everywhere. So.
Politics. Okay, we got politics. No one likes to talk about politics.
Everyone's favorite subject.
Yeah. But we got to talk about here because it can be one of the things that could turn someone off. So basically, in eastern Washington and North Idaho, it's very conservative, more leaning Republican. If you're in western Washington, it leans more Democratic. Leaning blue definitely over there, and that can be an issue for laws and things passed if you're not.
Well, for example, schools. I know my family. I have siblings. They all have kids, and they were a little bit upset when there was some new education passed that the West Side liked, but everyone here was really pretty vehemently opposed to. But because of the way the politics work in Washington, we just kind of have to follow what they decide.
Yeah, like most politics, it's split, and so eastern and western Washington are split. So again, eastern Washington tends to follow kind of North Idaho, very independent, very conservative. For example, during COVID, it was like two different worlds. You had North Idaho, and for a lot of people, it felt like they didn't ever mask, that COVID didn't even exist. Where in Washington, it was lots of rules, and governors were both very different in getting more involved in your life. And so something to consider as you're making that move on whatever way you lean on how comfortable or may not be the place for you. Examples are guns. You got North Idaho, very pro-gun. We had the Antifa almost riot there in Coeur d'Alene, and a lot of people showed up with their AR-15s, very,
armored vests.
Yeah, armored vests to protect the businesses and stuff that were potentially going to riot. And just people care, and they're going to stand by their community in North Idaho. So something to consider there. In West Coast in Washington, you got King County that kind of dictates, again, everything that for all of Washington, which includes eastern Washington. So just try and keep that in mind, again, as you weigh your items and you make your move. Homelessness, too, is not like it is in some of these Portland, if you've ever been downtown, but
LA. But we have seen an increase in it. You don't really get it in Coeur d'Alene. I haven't noticed it much, but definitely downtown Spokane. You'll see people who unfortunately either made bad choices or on hard times, and they're just there sitting on the street. It's hard to enjoy the beautiful parts of Spokane.
It is. It's part of the reality of it. There's homeless people, and the community's trying to do what they can. There's lots of
lots of programs
tons of
shelters,
to help. Yeah.
Mental health hospital. There's a new mental health hospital downtown, and they've been working with the camp that's been set up, just really trying to find these people a solution.
Yeah. All right, next on our list is wildlife. One of the great things about living in the Northwest is, of course, the wildlife. We have tons of it, and they can be right in your own backyard. It's not uncommon that an elk herd would pass through, near I-90. So if you like the wildlife, you just need to take cautions if you're out hiking and stuff. We do have cougars, bears. You're either going to want to pack bear spray, or if you're a gun owner, definitely want to pack a gun that you can defend yourself in the event that you run into a bear or cougar. We do have them seems like I'd say 4 or 5 times a year, every summer, fall. There's reports of those in town. Believe it or not, one of the most dangerous animals is, Scott, what you guys experience this?
It's a moose. They're a lot bigger than what you think, imagining. But in the winter, you'll tend to see a lot of moose because the snow falls and they come down from the mountains. And like Kirk said, they'll be right in your backyard. My parents had one live in their backyard for about a week. And my mom had to remind my dad that you do not feed the moose because they can hurt you a bit. But we also get a lot of like smaller animals too, like porcupines and skunks.
Yeah, deer, almost like hate to say it, but rats up here. We have so many deer, and you got to really be careful driving around, hitting deer, porcupine, skunks, raccoons, and make sure with your pets that you just got to be cautious that they're out there, and we live in the mountains here, so definitely I'd say more of a selling point with wildlife, but things you'll want to consider as well.
Yeah.
Okay, next on our list is property taxes. Get a lot of questions because we are two states here adjacent to each other, Spokane, Washington, and North Idaho, and so they got different tax pros and cons. Generally right now, most people moving from some of these areas we mentioned, like California, Oregon, Western Washington, where the taxes are quite a bit higher than here locally. And so people are usually, I would say, kind of relieved to see that things are lower than they typically are where they're coming from. Idaho does have a homeowner's exemption for their property taxes. So essentially the assessor's going to assess your house at X amount of money, and they automatically knock off, I think it's $100,000 or just over 100 right now to reduce your taxes. So that's nice if you're occupying it. That doesn't apply for investment property. Spokane does not have that. We do have sales tax for both states. It's a little bit higher in Spokane, but Idaho has it as well. Another thing we get a lot of questions on is income tax. And in Idaho, they've got income tax. Washington does not, which is a nice thing. We always, we've got some good CPAs we work with that can kind of help you navigate, which state might be better as far as income tax. Washington has a lot more taxes as far as gas tax and excise tax and use tax.
They also just raised property taxes as well, trying to compensate for the market that we had a couple of years ago. Property prices rose a lot, and so the assessor's office reassessed everybody's homes and raised the assessed value, so the taxes went up a bit.
Yeah, people haven't been real happy about that, but as more people come to the area, that's naturally going to happen. So moving on, our next category is the allergies. And Scott, I'll let you tell us, I know you're a big pollen sufferer. What's been your experience?
So typically I start to feel my allergies starting to come in from April to end of June. And it's pretty bad. I can't wear, sometimes wear contacts, but in those months I can't. My eyes get itchy, watery, sneezing all the time. So, if you have your allergy medicine, it works all right. But even if you don't have allergies, it can be a little bit annoying just because I really enjoy it. We have a bunch of pine trees here, but they cover your car and all this yellow pollen as well as...
the pollen. Oh my gosh. So August is when mine hit. My contacts as well start getting dry, and it's just the pollen really makes a mess of the lakes. I mean, it can be pretty thick on most of the lakes and on your cars. So make sure you get a good car wash subscription program here, because you'll be hitting it during those months for sure. Other things as far as allergies, it just kind of depends. You can get tested and stuff. In fact, one of the big companies in Post Falls, Idaho, is ALK, and they develop and make allergy medicines, a local company there. So you can go in and get tested and kind of dial in what meds are going to be best.
Local honey can help if you start eating local honey in the area. I think kind of wives' tale, but the bees pollinate and take it from a local area, and so your system gets used to it. I don't know if that really works.
We're not medical doctors, but we've heard that from many people that the honey does do wonders.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got next here, Scott? Let's move on to the next one. Traffic. Generally, the traffic's not so bad compared to these bigger markets like California, Portland. We just don't, it's not even close to that, but it is getting more congested here with the growth. I know, experienced it. You're coming from the valley, which isn't too bad, but what's been your experience?
Growing up here, you could have, but really, still not too bad, but it is a little bit worse than it was growing up.
Yeah, one thing that's kind of added to the problem is both Coeur d'Alene and Spokane don't have a quote north-south freeway. Spokane's been the talk of the town for seems like 100 years, and they're finally getting it, installed, and it is helping to alleviate some of the traffic. Coeur d'Alene, not so much. They still got Highway 95 going north, and when you're in Coeur d'Alene and Hayden, it can get pretty congested. But again, worth it for not having the long, 1-2 hour stuff that you'll experience in bigger markets. The other thing to consider too is parking can be kind of tough during the busy seasons. Plowing, like I said, there's narrow streets on both the north side and on the South Hill. In the valley and Liberty Lake, you're not going to get that so much just because those parts of the town were developed later. So plowing doesn't take up as much space, but on the South Hill, you're going to get berms, and Coeur d'Alene as well. The construction, really the only time it can go on is the summertime. So you got all the construction at the same time, but it just is what it is because we can't obviously do it during rainy and snow seasons. Lastly, you've basically got to kind of keep an eye on potholes and things. They could, we've had some potholes that could rip your axle off. Yeah. So something to watch for. But
looking for a good meme, you can find a good Spokane meme about all the potholes in the area.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about fire season. So I feel like growing up in Spokane, fire season it was always there, but it seems like it's gotten worse the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, growing
with
up
wildfires.
Growing up, it was like every 3, 4, 5 years, but now it's every year. Every August there seems to be just kind of this haze. Sometimes even the air quality can be potentially hazardous. So if you have any like lung condition issues or something like that, that'd be something to consider before moving here. Maybe come up and visit, see what it's like, because it has just kind of been every year. That month of August is smoky.
Yeah, it's just part of living in the Northwest. We have lots of trees, and where there's trees, there's wildfires, and so it's just something we deal with. Some years are hit and miss. Really going to feel it if it's a big fire season is August. It can get smoky, but for the most part, the summers are pretty awesome, and that makes up for some of the stuff we got to deal with living up in the woods, in the mountains here. So definitely something to consider as you're making the move here if you're sensitive to smoke and things. Okay, we're getting to the end of the list here. Our second to last one here is tourism. Being Coeur d'Alene, we were ranked nationally by Wall Street Journal. In the past few years, that's brought a lot of people moving this way. And as I mentioned, our summers are pretty awesome. So we do get a lot of tourism, mainly downtown Spokane, and some of the VRBOs and housing over there that bring in a lot of people. The downside is all the restaurants kind of get, plugged up and longer wait times as the summers go on. But there's still a lot of places to go throughout Spokane and North Idaho to eat. You just kind of adjust and plan for that. And there's weeks that are busier than others for the area, but Spokane's going to get its fair share too of events. Got quite a few events that happen now.
One of our most famous ones is Hoop Fest. It's a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. I think it's the largest in the world, actually. Mm-hmm. We got people coming from all over, semi-professional people, sometimes even some professionals come in. But definitely one of those ones you want to plan for because there's going to be a ton of people. The courts are on the streets of downtown Spokane, so a lot of streets you can't drive on, can't park on, so you're going to want to be aware of that just in those events. Bloomsday as well, large race that people participate in. Again, people come in all over. So just kind of plan around that.
You got Ironman in Coeur d'Alene that brings in a lot. For myself, I love the outdoors, so when these events happen, I just head to the mountains, go fishing or hiking. There's just plenty of territory for everybody to kind of use their lakes too. We got so many lakes that it's easy to share that, recreate. Last on our list, we're going to talk about education. For Idaho, it's kind of been notorious for having low-ranked schools, and that has gotten better in the last 5 years with all the move-ins we've got that are starting to bring up those school districts that have struggled. I know Spokane, you want to talk about Spokane?
Yeah, Spokane, fairly decent schools. A lot of people that want to be in certain school districts, but a lot of schools to choose from. I think in Spokane alone, there's like 14 or 15 different high schools that you can choose from. So, really encourage you to do your research, go to the website and find out what schools people like and how they rank.
Yeah, and if you're not liking the public school systems, there are the private schools. There's quite a few really good ones. My kids have attended a couple of them. In Coeur d'Alene, we've got the Charter Academy, and then in Rathdrum, they've got the STEM Academy, which is heavy focus on science and math. Both awesome schools, private schools. So something to consider that you may need to budget in as you make your move up here if you want to look at more of the private school route. I would encourage you, you're going to find when you get up here, you're going to get opinions from a lot of people. If they had one bad experience with one teacher, the whole school district sucks kind of comments. So I would definitely lean more towards looking at the stats for each school district. Definitely want to get boots on the ground opinions, but I would lean heavy on the stats as you move forward. So things to consider. I think we hit all the big ones that people ask us about when they're looking to move this way. We appreciate you staying with us in the video. If you like the video, please hit that like. Please make a comment too if you're familiar with any of these things. That always helps. People are moving this way to kind of get different things and information, comments from other people. So again, thanks for being here, and we hope to see you around town.